Hi, everybody. This is JoAnne Eisen with Reach Unlimited, and we are back for another week. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I have a special guest today. We were chatting one day, and it was a great conversation about life and not taking it so seriously in the way that she deals with spirituality. And I thought it was such a fascinating conversation that I wanted to have her on and we can chat about this because we all do tend to take life really seriously and we need to look at life a little more lightly and have fun with it. So I would like to introduce my guest today, Yilin Frion-Lee, who is going to tell us a little about herself. Hi.
Hi, JoAnne. Thank you for having me here today. I'm very honored. And my name is Yilin Frion-Lee, and I'm currently a Reiki master teacher and spiritual coach. And I love what I do, but my deepest passion is definitely living life to the fullest and trying to have fun while going through it. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And you really do show that in a conversation that we had. We were chatting after we had done a practice mediumship sitting, and
Right.
you got into the conversation about how you basically how you interact with God and the relationship that you have with God, which is unusual for I think the way that most people have a relationship with God. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think I started having a relationship with God about 6 years ago when I went into the Christian kind of area, the Christian world. And I was led by God because I had a supernatural experience during childbirth where I felt like, an energy basically helped me finish the labor. And after that, I just started to seek out this energy that helped me. And this energy led me to a very traditional fundamentalist Christian church. And from there, I started to learn how to pray because I never really prayed before. And knowing myself, I was struggling because I don't know. I've always been someone who's like, I need to be real. And with God, if you kind of subscribe to the traditional concept of God, which He knows everything, including me, He knows me better than better than I know me. So why am I trying to hide from Him? So I just started with a very awkward, like, well, I'm trying to learn how to pray for you, pray to you, and so this is on my mind, and dot. And I wasn't receiving anything back in return because I was just so awkward and full of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, I started to hear maybe one word. It'll be like, and I go, oh my gosh, I've been praying to you for a week, and this is all I get. And then I feel like he drops hints through other people as well, in my conversation with people and sermons or whatever experiences that I had. And after a while, I just started to get more and more comfortable. And my conversation or my prayers has always been very personal because I don't know, I get very real and honest and vulnerable, like I'm struggling. Yeah.
Feel like you get a little more than honest and personal. And I want to come back to you the way that you're talking about being authentic and that God or source or however, this isn't a conversation about God and the
No.
name of God and all that. It's like whatever you look to as that being your source.
Yeah.
But in today's conversation, we're going to use the word God.
Yeah.
But when you have these conversations with God and you talked about being authentic and the fact that God knows all about us, you do
Hmm.
it in a way that's, I don't know how to describe it. It's like different than just being authentic. You're like you're talking to your best friend, like you're talking
Hmm.
to your buddy, not like you're talking to an authority figure or a superior over you. You're talking to God as if you two are partners and you're
Hmm.
going through life doing this together.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I eventually got to that place really because I realized in order for me to accept God's love or his attention to for me, I need to be not afraid of him and not think, oh my gosh, if I say the wrong thing, something's gonna happen to me. If I just even dare to go there and say the wrong word, lightning will strike me down. I just couldn't do that.
Mhm.
I felt I needed to be real And then so I just started doing that, and I would talk to God about this and that, and I would get angry at God, and I would shut him out at times, and I do all kinds of things because I'm like, you know me. I'm a brat sometimes. I'm emotional sometimes. I'm X, Y, and Z.
I love the way that you're talking about, and this is why I really wanted to have this conversation with people, because it's not about an authoritative relationship. It's about a real relationship with your spiritual family, right? Where you
Yep.
can have those emotions and be able to express them, and you're free to be able to express them. And that's, I
Absolutely.
think, did you feel like that helped you with your connection and your spiritual path?
hmm Yeah, absolutely. I needed to get to that place before I can really trust
Mm-hmm.
God or any higher beings that I was channeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I'm like, well, if I don't feel that level of trust, that connection, how do
Right.
we continue this? How do we continue this work, which could at times be very difficult and frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your background before you came to this understanding?
I have a business degree, and then
Mm-hmm.
after a while I decided to go into fashion design, so more in the design creative
Mm-hmm.
realm, which I thought was closer to my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
then I decided that I needed to work on my spiritual aspect after the birth of my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's been just kind of bouncing around and trying to explore a lot. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have those backgrounds, which it's not and throughout life I've been very, very progressive for as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went into the very fundamentalist Christian world,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like, what happened to you? What's wrong with you? Should we be worried? Why are you doing this? My husband was like, why are you doing this? So it's my perception of things a lot of times changes based on my experience and what I'm going for. And I in the end I realized that connection with spirit was really what I was seeking in my heart. That was what really allowed me to kind of grow into myself.
So, did you go into doing the Reiki after that first, before you kept progressing into doing mediumship, and how did that kind of evolve into what you're doing now?
Yeah, so that's another funny story because um the Reiki I really resonated with, and even before coming into the Reiki I had already a relationship with God. So
Mhm.
going from, fundamentalist Christian
Mhm.
transitioning into the new age, there was so much deprogramming that I had to do. I was
Yeah.
so scared. I was like, I don't know, this could be demonic. This feels weird, and that's not what the Bible says. And I kept praying and keeping God close to me, and then He would show me things, like He would lead me to certain things to discover or find out and learn more about. Um, so that took me some time to even accept the possibility of Reiki as a
Mhm.
thing that I can do, that I'm
Mhm.
not going to get punished for doing that. And from there, I just started to blossom. I felt like everything just started to come to me quite naturally, like it was
Mhm.
like second nature.
Mhm.
And I've never had that feeling before
Mhm.
with anything that I've attempted in my life. I've always felt like I had to try really hard if I want to be, a straight A student, like a
Uh,
good Asian girl, then I have to study hard. I have to work hard. I have to let go of the things, like there's sacrifice to be made and dot. And then when it came to anything spiritual, really, I just like boom, I was like, oh, I get this. I understand this. And the conversation and the relationship with God as well. It's like, oh, I understand this. Somehow this just works. And so yeah, I took me some time, but then even to the transitioning from Reiki to mediumship was something actually both God and Jesus was hounding me for a long time.
oh,
Actually, they just go, "Man, you need to do this," blah blah blah, like dropping hands here and there for a long time.
uh-huh.
And I'm like, I'm not a medium. I'm a energy worker. I like to work with like higher guys and it's different. I don't know about that. There's just such a taboo, around the psychics and mediums. It's another level that it
Yeah.
makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure if my heart wasn't in it. I was gonna go there, right? So I
Mhm.
just kept saying, yeah, it's okay. I'm doing my Reiki. You say Reiki's fine. So I'm doing my Reiki, that's a good path too. And they just kept talking to me about it and talking to me about it. And I was just like, well, okay, fine. If you really want me to do it, it's kind of expensive. Why don't you give me some money for it? And I don't, I have never, ever asked for money from God. That's this way. But I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to do it. Why are you pushing me to do it? And so, and then after I said that, I just kind of left it at that, and I forgot about it. I wasn't even thinking about it. And I think it was a month later, the IRS suddenly sent me this check. I've never received a check from the IRS before. I call my accountant. I'm like, what is this? Is this a scam? Were you expecting this? And he's like, no, I'm not. But based on the check, I would say it's real. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I went online, I researched, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's some scams going on. So I kind of set it aside. And then finally one day I went, oh, I should ask God about this. And I asked him, I was like, is this real? Can I cash it, or should I return it? And he said, yes, it's real. You asked for it. And I was like, what? Take the class.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. All right, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it.
You know what I love about this story? Because I want to go back a little bit about what you said in a part of the conversation you and I had about your growing up, where you had all these like restrictions in your head or thinking, or the way that your parents would, or what you thought your parents would expect you to achieve and how they expected you to be, or
Mhm.
to achieve in your life when it comes to grades or whatever. You had a lot of pressure on you on that, which is also implying that you had a what you would consider to be a typical family where they want their children to achieve and be good, and but yet you were able to go through that and develop this relationship in a unique way. Not very many people interact with God the way that you do. How did you I, for one, I really wanted to bring that up again, because when you're talking about the way that you put all that trust and that faith in God
Mhm.
from the background that you have, it's
Yeah.
really an amazing, an amazing progression that you went through to get to where you're at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I don't know. I just think of it as this is a great way to interact with God, and if I can help other people see this and
Hmm.
give them permission to be more authentic with God, then I think that's awesome. Um, and I think that for me, I needed something that was really close to my heart, and
Hmm.
I couldn't work with a God that's high above in the clouds,
Hmm.
very unattainable, because that was the structure that I grew up in.
Hmm.
There was this hierarchy with the Asian culture where you always respect your elders.
Hmm.
They are like your God almost. Whatever it says, whatever they say, goes. And so the Christian religion sounded to me like that. And I just knew that there needs to be something different, because that's not allowing people to blossom into a way that they can really achieve joy and go after kind of their mission, whatever the design is that they have. um, so yeah, something that I don't know, it just came to me, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's Sharon, and hi everybody. I see you all here.
Oh.
Thank you for being here. Sharon was saying, and I love this in how she stated this, because I think a lot of people are like you, Sharon. It's she's saying that it sounds cool what you're talking about, and that she has faith and trust in God, but she doesn't hear His voice.
Hmm.
And that happens to a lot of us. And I think it's going back
Hmm.
to what you're talking about our idea, because our mind is very powerful. And
Yes.
so what we think, we create and we believe. And so if you are raised in a way where what we're talking about, you have this separation between ourselves and God, God is
Absolutely.
more superior. God is the authority. God has all power and omnipotence, and all those things cause us to have separation. And
Mhm.
I think in mediumship, that's what we're learning, is that we're never separate. We're never separated. And to
Right.
come back into, and that's what I loved about our conversation, is that you bring it back to, it's like having this family member. It's not
Mhm.
about a authority figure or a position of authority. It's about having this common place where you're family and you just work together for the best and the highest good.
Yep.
Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. God is willing and ready to be with anybody
Mm-hmm.
when they start to reach for him. So
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I didn't hear him,
Mm-hmm.
but I would still just pray and pray and pray, and just probably consistently the same prayer, more or less, because it would be something that's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I would get he would drop hints through other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly it would be like something you said, like JoAnne said, and I go, "Whoa, that sounds really that
Mm-hmm.
sounds really good." And then I would kind of just follow it, and when my husband will say something, it'll just hit me like, "Oh, that's really wise. Okay, doesn't sound like something you would say, but thanks." And I realized sometimes God speaks through other people. So that
Mm-hmm.
was my process, learning of how to eventually hear from God. Because the truth of the matter is, I had a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I was rejecting Him in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I was rejecting my own divinity from within, that I wasn't worthy enough to hear from Him. I am not holy. I didn't like, you know, memorizing verses from the Bible. I didn't. I mean, there's just so many things about me. I wasn't like a traditional Christian. I
Yeah.
didn't like memorizing the Bible because I saw there was a lot of propaganda in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would pray to ask him to give me what he wants me to see.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just becoming more aware. Also, I was doing a lot of self development that
Yeah.
was not religious at all. It was not Christian based. Doing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of becoming more aware of my own fears, my own rejections in myself, how I hide my shadows and how I get insecure and my level of self-worth, all that stuff. I was, making that happen. And it took a long time. I would say at least 3 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
before I started to hear from him.
That's an important point too, and one that we're really learning, I think, as we're progressing in mediumship, is that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a developing relationship, like you would with a friend, anybody
Mm-hmm.
else you would have a relationship with, and you're going to have different relationships. Like, I'm not going to have the same relationship that you are. We're all going to have a
Yep.
different relationship based on our personality, what we're here to learn, what direction we're going. We all have different tastes. All those things play into it, so it doesn't happen immediately, and we have to be patient with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
Yeah.
to stress have to, because I really hate that part.
I know. It's the worst part because
Yeah,
once you kind of start to realize, well, there's a spiritual side of me and that's instantaneous. Why can't I just do it now?
exactly. You
Being trapped
understand.
in this dimension of time, like, ugh.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
definitely. It takes time.
you were telling me that you had a conversation about having this interview today. What was your conversation with God today about this interview? If you
Yeah. So,
sharing that, you don't have to if
oh
you
no, I'm always open to talk about God in a very strange way. Yeah, I was, just kind of thanking him and giving gratitude. And I know he arranged for this. And so I asked him, well, do you have some, advice in how I should prepare or what I should talk about? And he said mainly to focus on love because he is love and
Mhm,
he is that unconditional self love.
mhm,
And, I learned through my journey with just learning how to listen to God and build a relationship with God is that love comes in many shapes and forms.
mhm.
So that higher, the highest level of love could be, your love for your kids, your
Yes.
love for your husband, your
Mhm,
love for your mother. And it could be your love for building a business, you know, going after a cause, going after your passion, that you want to, your love for helping people. And
Yes.
all of that is God,
Mm-hmm.
or your God for spiritual things. So I'm very literal when it comes to spirituality, and my husband is not. But I see that he is spiritual through his
Mm-hmm.
passion in ultramarathon running. I can see that he gets to that point, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he zones out and he's like gone. He's just blissed out. And so, yeah, and I think that's, he was talking about, you know, through going after your passion or your love for other people and other things, you can reach that eternal present where he is there. And it reminds us of our spiritual aspect, that aspect of us that's eternal, and it reminds us that we're alive and that this world is beautiful. Like, you know, we're more than just a physical body. And also, yeah, he talks about just be authentic, be yourself, have fun. Show them how you are with me, you know, hopefully, yeah, other people won't be so scared.
And that's important because, you know, we are really, again, we've talked about it. We're already taught to have a certain expectation, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not reality. And I really think that in what you're talking about, we know that all things are love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was really meditating the other day about love, unconditional love and hate. And
Mm-hmm.
love is, it just puts out all other things if you can stay in that place of love, because hate is without love. That's all it is without
Mm-hmm.
love. Somebody's
Mm-hmm.
feeling threatened, or they're feeling less than, or they're feeling like they're not a part of something. It's all coming back to unconditional love. And sometimes when you're in the middle of it, when you're right in the middle of something and you're thinking, okay, I should be having unconditional love, you're thinking, I'm not having that.
Nope.
No. But if you can come back to that place, that's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that, because I used to be the big one for this, because my thing was I would give somebody love and then they would take advantage of me, and I'm like, I'm done being a
Yeah.
doormat. How do you
Right.
do this without being a doormat? You really understood then, and I'm going to let you actually talk about it, because I know you've experienced this, I'm sure, in your life, and balancing out that hate and that anger that people tend to bring to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you come back with what we really should come back with, which would be love.
Right. So I just, this example came to my mind because
Uh-huh.
honestly, when I was going through the Christian world,
Mm-hmm.
my husband's atheist and he has a passionate hatred of God. So he would a lot of times, you know, be on top of his lungs going, "You're God, X, Y, and Z, and he's a mother, X, Y, and Z." You know, the worst things you could ever imagine. He said it to my face. And in the beginning, I just be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. I need to go pray." Um, and then after a while, I was like, I can't. I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, please save his soul," you know, and blah 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 blah. Please, like, convince him that you are divine and da 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 da. You are love and da, 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 da. And after a while, God just said, "Don't worry about it. Why do you worry about it? Why is it even any? Why does it matter that his opinion of me is X, Y, and Z? Do you not think I have not heard the worst insult that anyone could think of threw at me? Do you not think that I already know about all of that? Do you really think I care about that? I care about the heart." And he said, "Your husband's heart is good. So
Yeah.
look at that, because that's love. Look at his heart. Don't look at what he says and the hate and all that stuff. You know, he hates me, but why is he even thinking about me? That means he's curious. So go with that. Just be happy that he's a little bit curious, even though he insults me and say mean things. And so I look at that sometimes. I look at the underlying, wow, we're talking about this. So that's interesting. I like to see your perspective, even though you're very angry right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I guess one of the things that I found very fascinating with you that I want to go back to is that the way that you talk with God is not like anybody else would, meaning that you're very honest about what it is that maybe you're feeling slighted against or unhappy with, or it's like you're not afraid to tell God what
Mm-hmm.
actually is going on in your life or how you feel about what's going on in your life, but you do it in a way that's not spiteful or negative. You do it in a way that's still sincere, which is so amazing to me. Does that make sense?
I guess so. I don't know. Well, I'm sounding more sincere right now because it's, we're live. It's not just me and God. So sometimes, I sound like, I get my ghetto self comes out and he knows it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He knows I give him attitude sometimes. He knows, like, there's been times I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't even know who you are. I mean, you can't prove that you're God. You're just a voice in my head, right? And he goes, yes. I am not here to prove to you, but I said, okay, so how can I know for sure that you are God and I'm not crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you can't, you don't know. You don't know. And I said, oh, well, great then. So I guess I just will shut you out. And I did for like a month. And that's when I just went deep dive into, the whole concepts of demons, dark entities, and whatever things that are negative out there in the spiritual world. And throughout that phase, I was not happy. I mean, I was in fear because I felt like I didn't have that support, but I
Mm-hmm.
did. I did. He was still around. He was showing me stuff still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just didn't, have conversation with him. Um, and I circled back to him because I was like, I can't live without you because my life is not, I don't know, just it's so dimmed and it's so fear-based without you. And it definitely reminded me of my life before I opened up to God. It
Mm-hmm.
was more about just slowly allowing his love to come in a little bit and allowing him to support me a little bit when I am not sure, when I am scared, when I'm conflicted, whatever it is. If I remember in the moment to ask for support, to kind of just put a prayer out there and just surrender a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
more and more you just start to feel that trust and the love from God. And so that's how I kind of realized, well, might as well just be real because what I need him for is to feel his love. And if I can't feel his love, I feel I'm like dead inside. So I just learned to slowly become more and more real with him because I know he knows everything. He's just waiting for us to be more open and allow him in.
And that's the point, and you answered that so perfectly, because that's the point that really needs to be made because of the way that we're taught about. And Sharon, again, Sharon is saying, I think this is the other Sharon, though we have two Sharons here. Uh, but anyway, it's about that, because of the religious group that she was a part of, that God was not interested into the natural side of our life. And I think all of us believe that. It's like, almost like we're a burden,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know for me, because of my parental raising, we
Hmm.
always felt like we were a burden to my parents anyway, so
Hmm.
that didn't help. But the way that you are describing this in your interaction, as you've learned, was that you you understand that God allows you the time
Hmm.
to go through what you're going through, because that's what we're here for, is the learning experience. And you don't forget that you could go back and that
Yeah.
you have that relationship. And that's the beauty in what I see in the relationship that you have, because you always know that you're loved and supported, and that God, and what she also said, that it's new to her to have this idea of having God as your best friend. And if
Hmm.
you think about it, he's your best friend, he's your father,
Hmm.
he's your mother, he's your sister, he's your
Yep.
brother, he's
Everything.
everything to us. He plays
Yep.
every role.
Yep.
I'm going to take he out of the picture. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. Because he's all, I don't know what
He's
you call
all.
it.
Yeah.
It's all. So
All.
I think it's really developing that relationship, because I love how you also said, I can get to what did you call that? Your bad self. You called it something else. your ghetto self. I can
Yeah,
get
my
to,
ghetto self.
yeah, I can get to my ghetto self. And you know that you can do that because we're human and we're going
Mhm.
to do human things. And so
Mhm.
that's a part of our process, to have all these emotions and
Mhm.
still come back to the main point, the main source, right?
Right. God is not around to connect with us. He's not connecting with us because we're perfect. He's
Right.
connecting with us because we are unique and we are different. And how do you even define what is holy or perfect or, whatever? Everybody has different definitions. Every religion has different
Right.
definitions.
Right.
And so to me, it's like, well, if I wait until I'm perfect before I go to God,
Mm-hmm.
it's exhausting. I'm not getting anything out of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't like to have to dress up every day to go and pray, and I don't know, be nice to my kids before I go pray, and say something a compliment my husband before I go pray. Oh God, I can't do that. Like I'm not like that. But some people maybe, I don't know. Some people like the rituals, they make it sacred, or there's a process to it, and that works too. And I
Yeah.
think God meets you where you are because
Right.
that's what I believe in. So, because for me, that's the most helpful to me. And
Mm-hmm.
if he's not able to meet me, then I can't have a relationship with him. And that's because of that, my relationship with God, that's how I, kind of, that's how I work with my clients. I like to
Mm-hmm.
know where they're at.
Right.
And I like to be able to support and guide based on where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
not be like, oh, you don't understand God, you don't hear God, so I don't know if I can help you, like,
That's a good analogy. You don't have clients that come to you because they're perfect.
no. Why?
And
Why would they come to
you're,
me?
I don't know. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So we're never going to be in that perfect state. That could be actually, and a lot of people use it as an excuse not to move forward,
Hmm.
because if I acknowledge that I'm not perfect and I always stay in that unperfect kind of position, then I'm never
Hmm.
having to take responsibility for my spiritual life or my growth or my development.
Right. Right. And
It's,
it's the fear that's blocking it.
right,
Honestly, like
right.
the traditional religion
Mm-hmm,
do not want us to have this kind of relationship with God.
mm-hmm.
They do not want all these people running around going, I can talk to God, I can hear God, no, 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 no. And and just become really sovereign, independent people, because
Right.
that's threatening. It's very threatening for, organizations, big organizations, governments, countries.
Mm-hmm.
They are scared of it. It's hard to control people once, people start to wake up to this possibility.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Because you have all the freedom in the world once you are broken away from those um, unrealistic
Hmm.
ritual kind of
Yeah.
thinkings to our relationship with the whole spiritual world.
Right, right. And it's just so there's just layers upon layers upon layers of fear-based programming that
Mm-hmm.
we all have. That if, as we become more open to the subtle realms or our spiritual aspects or our connection with, source, we have to go through and kind of process these fears
Mm-hmm.
and become more compassionate of it, because it's all about having compassion for yourself too,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and having compassion for aspects of yourself you don't quite really want to talk about with other people, you don't want to share. Or you're like, oh, yeah, if I say that out loud, you're going to throw me into the, mental institution. So, yeah, I'm not going to say it, not going to say out loud. So yeah, it's, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
I love that, because I was talking to some people yesterday about, I'm doing a thing for 30 days where I wrote down things I love about myself, like about myself, okay about myself, hate about
Mhm,
myself, and really
mhm.
dislike about myself. And then I
Yeah.
sit in front of the mirror, which I have to do today. I sit in front of the mirror for 30 days and have a conversation about those things.
Wow.
And that is not an easy
Powerful.
thing to do. But I was
Yeah.
talking about
Powerful.
how people could probably think you're crazy because you're having these conversations with yourself. But the amazing thing is that you actually get the feedback back to you, and
Mm-hmm.
it unfolds things in directions that you never thought you would go. But one of the people in the group said, yeah, I do that when I'm walking in the forest. And the other one said, yeah, I do that walking somewhere else. And we're all like, people must think we're absolutely bonkers that are listening to this, if they heard you about that.
I
But
really love that.
you cannot care. You have to do, because I don't know where you are with your beliefs, but I believe that we are a soul. We all have a soul. We're here as a human being with our soul. And that soul is perfect. And we forget that. We forget that that soul is a spark of the divine. That's just a part of the divine. And so that's why we're so connected to God. But yet we come here and we become separate from, or feel like we can't be a part of.
Right. And you point out that really good point about, I think part of not being able to really open up to God or connect with God is there's a layer of fear of yourself, of fear of being with yourself, becoming best friends with yourself. Like what you're doing with the exercise. You feel like you're just going crazy. That's how I felt when I first prayed to God. I'm like, okay, I sound crazy, but this is what I'm going to say right now. So we are so out of practice. We don't know, we can absolutely connect with ourselves, connect with our bodies, connect with our hearts, connect with our, higher self and all that. Connect with aspects of ourselves that we feel unworthy or ashamed or all that stuff. And with the exercise that you talked about, that absolutely connects with that. So I've done exercises like that too, where I wrote "I am worthy" on my palm, and I took a picture, and I was like bawling because I didn't feel like I was worthy at all.
And that's one of the most common things that all of us really feel, is not being worthy. And I think for me, it's what I have really come to understand as I've gone through my process is that is a part of not trusting and not believing that you are more than this human body, that you're not connected to your soul, and that you aren't trusting that your soul is helping you through this experience. Because not only, and I know you do this, not only do you not, or that you talk to God, but you also have a relationship with your higher self. Is that not true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of who you are.
Yeah, I actually connect with a lot of higher spiritual guides. So yeah, in my higher self, and in my practice, I connect with a lot of other people's higher selves and guides as well, if they want to come through and deliver messages. So yeah, it's important. And I do, I like to help people realize that you can do it yourself as well. Once they become more aware of it and having an experience or two, they start to open up to the possibility. And sometimes that's all you need, is to know that it's possible.
That is one of the keys, that one of the reasons I have the show is to keep people aware that they have these abilities to connect to the other side. You don't have to have somebody else do it for you. You can do it yourself. It's
Absolutely.
just doing that kind of work and knowing that it can happen. And one of the greatest ways to do that is just to sit in meditation and not having any expectations, and not going through the whole chatter of I can'ts and my mind's going and all that stuff with, meditation. So many people have problems with it. But just sitting in the quiet without any expectations to connect with your loved ones, connect with your guides, connect with your higher self, connect with God. It's just a matter of being open and trusting when you sit in the quiet. That's all it is, nothing more. Sit in the quiet and hear, listen, pay attention. Sharon talked again about, Sharon, I love you guys, both of you. You guys have great questions. I love how you said, and I can't find it right now because too many questions and stuff have come in. I'm going to have to go back. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up with all the questions, but that hell was a form of control. And I agree with you, Sharon.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in the Bible that were put in the Bible to control us. And that's a part of why we have this conversation that we're having about not having that relationship with God, is coming from that belief system that the Bible puts out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get any hate mail and any change my thinking and anything about that. I've already been down the religious world, and
yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I fully agree. And there's different versions of hell, the hell
Right.
on beyond, just in this world that we
Mhm.
live in too. So it's if we choose to subscribe to fear-based belief system, that is hell to me. That is
Right.
hell. Whether you think of it in this life or afterlife.
Right.
And that's those are the choices that we make.
Mhm.
We have the power to make different choices, and it's
Mhm.
being able to see that there's other choices. And
Yeah.
I work also on soul retrievals, and I transition souls as well. So I've been learning a lot about, that in between life and life after death and what happens
Mhm.
after that. And there are souls that get stuck in between because of their beliefs. They get stuck because they feel so unworthy. They feel like they're not worth, they can't move forward because they killed themselves. And there's no way that God would accept them, you know? But when I transition them, God is like, no, this is, you believe that. You trapped yourself there. I love you regardless. I don't judge. I actually don't judge. We judge ourselves. I
Yeah.
feel that to me, that's the truth. We are the most critical of ourselves
Yes. Yes, we are.
beyond anything. All of the judgments that I feel from the Bible and any religion
Mhm.
created by men because we judge ourselves and they know, you know, that resonate with people because that's kind of our
Right.
nature anyway. So
Right.
to kind of rise above it, it takes work, it takes patience, and it takes
It
that trust
does.
in something.
It kind of
Um,
goes back to what we talked about in the beginning is why we have to work so hard at something when we really don't.
I know it's like, well, this should be easy, but it ain't. So let's be honest.
Because we really don't. We make it up in our own minds and how hard it can be and what we can't do instead of how we can do it. And there's so many different, and a lot of that comes from how we're taught,
Hmm.
what our family life was about. And that's where, you had said it, and I'm doing it too, where you go into your inner work, because I also came from having to unlearn a lot of my childhood beliefs and the way that I thought about God and religion and all those things. I came from, as they're all talking about here, the wonderful Catholic Church. I was raised
Yeah,
in a Catholic family and went to Catholic school and got out of the Catholic Church as soon as I left the house.
yeah,
Like, nope, not doing that. But then I went into some other stuff. But I don't look back at that as being a bad thing either, because it really helped me to form the truth of my relationship with my source power, with the one, my being. I
yeah.
understand that. And you're right. We're a lot harder on ourselves, especially as you're doing that work and you see, especially when you do mediumship and you see what's on the other side and you see the love that's on the other side and you see, like, family members or somebody who was not really probably the best of persons, and how they can be sorry for what they did when they were here
Hmm.
and apologize for those things, because they're trying to make amends for them. They're trying to heal you. To be able to experience that healing, it really shows the love that's on the other side, always,
Yeah,
24/7.
yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I wanted to also kind of comment on what you said about, coming out of the traditional religious world, because when I got out of it, I felt like, oh my gosh, why did you even put me there? That was, why did you do that? It's a little sensitive and I didn't really quite understand it. And so I asked the question. I said, why did you do it? I mean, that was like kind of a waste of time, right? I mean, I could have been like, I don't know. I could have been like more powerful by now. I don't know. I wasted like 5 years and I don't know. This is like,
Oh my
tell me
God.
about it. And he said, he slowly showed me,
Yeah.
he said, there is a purpose for it because I needed discipline. Me personally, I needed discipline. I'm too much of a rebel. I needed something to ground me. I needed to have a relationship with God. And the fears and whatever, it was to kind of hold me back a little bit so I don't go crazy, like literally crazy. Like right now, I'm good crazy, but sometimes, if you don't have, I don't know, if you don't have a good balance or if you don't have a good foundation, I've been literally too much before. Um, and I back in the days, I know when I was exploring spirituality as a much younger
Hmm.
child, it went quickly into dark magic, black magic, witchcraft. And that's when I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I thought all spirituality, all religion was out of the question until I got much older. So he was telling me I needed it. I needed that foundation. I needed that discernment. I needed the discipline. I needed to build that trust in an amount of time that was given to me, about 5 years. And so in that way, it was beneficial to me. And I can also see a lot of people also flourish in that environment, and they learn a lot and they get a lot out of it, and it's not a bad thing. It's something that a lot of people are not wanting because it doesn't fit in how the world is evolving. And I was also seeing kind of similar fear-based kind of way of thinking in the very progressive organization, in the more new age world. So he was showing me that as a contrast, telling me that just because you started in the, the traditional Christian world doesn't make you less capable to become more spiritual. And just because you started in the very open-minded new age world doesn't make you more wise either. Yeah. And so it's really interesting to see that contrast.
I think that for me, my understanding now as I progressed through my journey is that we all came in with a plan, and the whole purpose is to learn, nothing more. And so whatever you came in to learn is how you came in, and to judge anybody for where they're at or what they're doing, from my perspective, is not okay, because you can't judge where they came from and where they're going, because they have a specific purpose and a specific plan. Because I love how you said unique. We're all unique, and none of us are unique. All of us have this spark. All of us are souls.
Yeah.
But yet we all have our own individuality, just like we do as a human being. We have that as a soul as well. And we all have a specific purpose or a specific plan to learn. And we just have to accept one another and accept that.
Yeah. And I think for me, the journey of becoming more able to accept others is from accepting me first, and the darker aspects and aspects of myself. So that was my journey, is go from within and then give out. I was having a conversation with my friend about this because at core, I am selfish. I think about me first. Like before I help someone, I go, well, can I be a good helper? Or if I'm going to go help someone and be grumpy about it and ask, have expectations, like, well, I helped you, when do I get mine? Then I feel that's not ethical. Like, I don't want to do it. I go, wow, I can't. I have to take care of me first. Like, at least, up to here, like at a certain level of balance. I don't just have joy from helping if I don't feel I'm getting anything back. So I was telling my friend, I'm like, well, at core, I'm more selfish because I think about me first, but I'm capable of becoming selfless once I see that, once I'm proven that it works, that by helping others, I also help myself. By elevating others, I also elevate me. And it's a two-way street.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to go back to that in a minute, but this is really interesting. So, Susan, you're not alone in what you've experienced. She's saying that she used to talk to God as a child, but she stopped when chaos worsened. God didn't talk to me, making me angry and giving up. I wish I could go back and change it. You can absolutely go back and change it right now. There was chaos at the time, and we have to trust. One of the things that I've learned through mediumship is, and you and I experienced this, and we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, how we could be like, you hit a wall, right? You're feeling like,
nothing is coming through.
So frustrating. And it's not the spirits on the other side, and it's not God, Susan. I know it's hard to understand that, but sometimes in our human state, for whatever's going on, we separate ourselves and we close down. God is always there. Spirits are always there, and they're always communicating with us. It's where are we in our vibration? Where are we in what's happening in our life? Like you said, chaos was there. And so that can separate us from having the ability to hear. But that doesn't mean that because we have other senses besides just hearing. We have feeling, we have knowing, we have sensing, we have seeing. We have these senses that if you really sit down in the stillness, you may pick up this in another area. Have you had that experience?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I started to become more open to just receiving what comes to me during my meditation. So
Yeah.
sometimes, in the beginning, it is like a word, and sometimes it's colors, sometimes the sensations in my body. Sometimes I just start to cry out of the blue for no reason. I don't even know why, because of a
Really?
sound that I heard or something resonating with my soul, really.
Yeah.
And allowing that, even being able to sit with emotions,
Hmm.
because I used to be very like, oh gosh, that makes me weak, don't want to deal with that. But even becoming more open to that, and even becoming more open to just be more honest, like, yeah, I have regrets, and yes, I have regrets. Or, oh, I'm feeling jealous. Yes, I feel jealous of her. Why do I feel jealous? Yes, I do feel it. And
I think you're even using jealousy because a lot of times when we verbalize, oh, I'm feeling jealous about that person.
yeah,
I'm feeling angry at that person and they didn't do anything. I'm feeling like they're attacking me and they're not doing, it's coming from within and it's all triggered from the weaknesses or the problems or the issues that you're working on within you. And that you can notice that, then you're able to work with that and heal that.
right. And just even sometimes just bringing some awareness to it is all it's needed. You
Exactly.
know,
Mhm.
I'm very mental. I'm very mind based. So,
Mhm.
a lot of times I like to analyze the crap out of things. Just sit there and go, well, excuse me, why did this happen? Why did you let this happen? And then the XYZ will like give me more answers and give me da 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 da. But sometimes, God will give me answers. Sometimes he's like, just sit back, child, because you got to learn this. You got to
Yeah.
go through it. You got to feel
Yes.
it in your body to
Right.
believe it. Sometimes I'm not going to believe it just because you told me.
Exactly. And a lot of times we won't because we have to
Mhm.
experience it. And that's a part of what we're here to do is experience that. And for
Yeah,
you,
that's why.
Susan, I would trust that you can sit. And again, it's not something because sometimes we don't know what we're hearing too. Because
Hmm.
sometimes the voice is so quiet and so subtle that you're like, did I hear that? Wait a minute. What was that? What?
Am I crazy again?
Because sometimes it's those little voices that you can dismiss. Like Marilyn's here, and Marilyn was telling me, was it Marilyn? I don't remember, Marilyn, if it was you or not, actually, that they were going to do something and they didn't listen and they didn't do it. And then they get mad at themselves because they didn't do it. But that's the part of our learning process, right? So, like when you're driving down the road and you think, oh, I should go right, and you don't, you go left, and you're
Hmm.
like, something happens. I was like, I knew I should have gone the other way. Those
Yeah.
are the kinds of things that when you pay attention to, that you're being spoken to. And the more that you
Hmm.
pay attention to them, then the louder they become and the more you trust them. Because we all have those feelings, right?
Hmm.
Where we have this idea to do something or whatever, and we don't listen to it. It's like, oh, whatever, I'll come back to it. And then you find out you should have done it. Those are all lessons for us to see how much spirit really is a part of our life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it is true that what we choose to focus on
Mhm.
expands and grows and becomes stronger. And that's the power of
Mhm.
our mind and our
Right.
thoughts and our intentions.
Right.
And the more you give spirit the time of day to
Yeah.
say, oh, I just noticed that little intuition. Okay, I'm
Right.
going to follow it this time. And I'm going to
Right.
make a mental note about what happened and
Exactly.
how I felt after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And next time when I meditate, I'm going to just have a notebook next to me, whatever comes, some random weird stuff comes, I'm just going to write them all down and
Mhm.
then see what happens
Yep.
and kind of follow that flow and see what happens.
Mhm.
If it's going to be better or it's going to be scary, whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
explore, I think.
And that's a part of what we're here to do. It's to learn. I can't say that enough. In my world, that's like
Hmm.
one, I like to learn, but two, that's what we're really here to do is learn. So it's like I'm sure we all experience that, right? You want to get somewhere. So you work really, really hard to get there. And then what?
Mhm.
You're trying to get to the
Exactly.
next place. And then what?
Yep.
Because we're never going to be to where we need to go, because we're always moving forward to be able to learn what we're here to learn.
Hmm. Yeah. And meditation is such a great way to just like come to the present moment where God is, and be in there. Because
Yeah,
everything around us, including our minds, don't want us to be in the present moment. And it's
exactly.
so crazy the way this world is set up and how our mind is set up. Our physical body just like, no, I want to think about my past so I can learn about it, or, plan for the future so I feel impressive and accomplished. And like the present moment is so boring. Who wants to stay here and clean the dishes? Gosh, I want to like escape my mind and escape this thing and da 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 da. It's so weird. But
Yeah.
once you actually reach that moment, that point where you can connect with the present moment through passion or through meditation or whatever it is, it's incredible. It's nothing else like it.
And there's many ways to do it.
Yeah.
You have to sit down in the quiet, because I know a lot of people don't like to do that. And there's
Mm-hmm.
arguments to that. But
Yep.
there's many ways to do it, whether it be through art, or whether it be
Yep.
walking in nature, or whether
Music.
yeah, absolutely. These are all ways to connect back to the guidance in the direction that you are wanting to go, or the way that you're being drawn to go, paying attention to those things and acting upon them.
Right. Because like what you were talking about, there's different clairs. So some people
Right,
resonate more with
right,
music. Some people
right.
resonate more with movement. Some
Mm-hmm.
people resonate more with Mother Gaia, Earth, going out in nature. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's honoring those special aspects of ourselves and being able to just kind of be with that. Because the more we do it, the more we become in tune.
The other part of that is, and one of the things, because we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, but one of the things is to trust. And
Hmm.
that's, I know we've talked a lot about this too, but it's the hardest thing to do is trust, right?
Yep.
We have a hard time trusting, but you have to trust that where you are is where you're supposed to be. And
Hmm.
you can't hurry the train as hard as you want to push, or as fast as you want to go. You can't hurry the train. You've got to go at the pace that you're going to go. And I know that really sucks. I'm here. I can understand that. Frustrates me to no get out.
Yeah, I have trouble with yeah, no, I have problems. I have trust issues. I know I do, and I talk to God about that. And I
Uh-huh.
also have issues with waiting. And
Yes.
so there would be times where I'm just like, come on, let's hurry it up, faster, faster, faster. I'm
You're
ready. Come on, come on.
I'm like, why can't we not do this faster?
I
Why
know.
don't
I'm
I
like,
do
make
this
it
faster?
happen. Come on, come on, come on. And there was this one time he made it happen faster, and I was regretting it
Oh
because I
no.
was like, well, why did you let that happen to me? No, not me. And he's like, because you wanted to go faster. So if you want to go faster, it's going to be more dramatic. It's going to be more extreme. Like, so there was like a dark entity attached to me, basically. I had to deal with that and I had to clear it, and figure out how that went. And, I was in fear for like a whole week and I felt sick, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how could you let this happen to me? And God said, you asked to go faster. This is what happened. So, let me know if you want to go faster again. And I'm like, okay, no, not for a while. I'm okay.
I think it's because we have in our own mind, what the end result's going to look like, but we can't put all the different factors into play. And
No, there's no way.
yeah, you can't.
No, there's no way you can see what God sees and everything, all the players, all the elements, and how,
Mhm.
you move one piece, you're gonna benefit other people, or how other people is gonna affect you. There's no way you can see all that.
Mhm. Yeah,
As much
yeah,
as much as we like to think we can, or we can't.
it's true. I hope that from this conversation that people would be able to take that you can have a relationship with God, your God, however you
Hmm.
word that for you, in a way
Yes.
that's authentic to yourself, and that we don't have to have these stereotypical ideas of like I grew up in the time period where you were to be seen and not heard. You listen to your parents no matter what. If we were to talk back to them,
Yep. Oh yeah.
a whole new generation.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that that formed a lot of things in the way that I deal with authority anyway, in the way that I was raised. And that's not bad. There's nothing
No.
bad with that because it taught me what I learned and shaped my viewpoints, right? And now I'm able
Yep.
to undo that. So it's about trusting and just knowing that you're going to get there in the right time and to enjoy life. And like we kind of went more into a serious. We were going to keep this lighter, and this,
I
none of my interviews ever go the way that we think they're going to go. But that's okay. I'm getting to it. But
Yeah.
to enjoy life, because the way that you interact with your all of your spiritual family is more in a equal, lighthearted relationship with them. And I think if you can keep that perspective, then you're going to get through this journey a lot easier. And I think enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah. Have fun. And really, like, to me, there was a lot of from the traditional Christian theology, God does not want happiness for you. God wants you to be strong and X, Y, and Z. But I didn't find that to be true for my relationship with God. I feel like no. The only thing that he wants for us is for us to live our design to the fullest.
Yes.
And when we do that, we honor God. When we
Right.
do that. When we do that. Not like, oh yeah, let's all go to Africa and save, starving children. No, we're not. If you're not designed to do that, you
Right.
shouldn't do it. If you're not designed to be an activist, you shouldn't do it. That's, when I get like panicky and I look at the world and I go, oh my gosh, I need to go do something. And God is like, why? You would be a mess. And yeah, I am a mess when I talk about, politics and other stuff. So I am a mess. I'm not helpful. I can't be calm. I can't be balanced. I'm not helpful. But as, working with people and spiritual topics, I'm okay. I'm much better, and that's following that your design, what you're good at.
Your design.
Yeah. And
that's a good point, because not only do you have to acknowledge that and live by that, you can't feel guilty about it either, because we are created the way we are created, period.
Yep. There's a reason why you're better in here and not the other realm, other areas.
Right.
Because you're not supposed to go there. Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. Because
that's totally okay.
Here to cover all parts of life. So we don't have to do it all ourselves, even though we have to control our world and control everything. We don't have to. We can let it go. It's okay.
Exactly. Thank God we don't have to do everything. Oh my goodness. Right? That would make me full crazy. Yeah.
You know that I'm just voicing those words. They're not really implemented in my everyday life because I do like to control everything.
I know. But it's okay to be like, oh yes, here I go again, bring a control freak, blah, 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 blah.
Very true. Very true. So if you guys have any more questions, let me know. And I sure appreciate everybody's comments in here. I'm going to go back and read a lot of them. I missed a lot. But they were really good. You guys are very interactive, and I do appreciate it. Do you have any last tidbits that you would like to share? What is the biggest takeaway from this?
God is available to everyone. Literally everyone. And we block him. That's our choice. He's always there, ready and waiting for us to open ourselves up slowly. And nobody is perfect or needs to be perfect when we reach for God. And I feel that a lot of people don't believe that. And I didn't in the beginning, right? So, and then I think another thing to consider is how our own mind fights against God, or that even the concept of it. Be like, oh, that makes me cringe when you said that. You said the word God, like, oh, did it? Why? And because there's perhaps trauma, there's perhaps, whatever it is that is packaging that, and there's a lot of it. And I interacted with a lot of that as well, being a Christian and also progressive at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I think, becoming more aware. And as you become more aware and even can start to think more about God, you are opening up to God.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I think that for me, it's just everybody learn to love who you are and be where you are in the now and try to have the best life you possibly can. Be open to new things, be open to new thoughts and experiences, because that's what makes us human and that's what makes the world go around. New experiences. Don't be afraid of
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah.
You may not like it. Like you said, you went into the darker magic stuff and found that wasn't for you, but you experienced, that wasn't for you, and I've been through many different kinds of religions before I came to where I'm at now. And I wholeheartedly went into it and then realized it wasn't for me because there was always something missing. And I think that's the big thing, is follow your heart, listen for what is missing. And if something's missing, you just keep looking. And I wonder if, we just keep looking all of our life and expanding on what we know.
Keep exploring, keep creating.
Yeah.
Because I think we don't have enough courage to create.
Yes. Yes.
And because to create is to do something almost unique and almost different and almost, you call it your own, but then you're afraid of judgment from the world. So I think stepping into that space in however way you do it, it's really a moment to connect with God as well, with your own divinity from within.
Right. I love that. That's very perfect. Thank you so much for your time with us. I really do appreciate it. I hope it was fun for you.
It was fun. Thank you. This is my first experience. That's awesome. Super fun.
Give her big applause and hands up. You did a great job. It was like you're a pro at this, so it was great. I want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate you all for being here, and I really appreciate all your questions and comments. In Facebook, I could go back and respond to them. Once I turn this off for YouTube, they're gone. But at least as far as I know, unless they're somewhere I don't know. But I will answer your comments and questions. And if you have any more questions, please put it in the chat. I sure appreciate it all. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.